Question from Alexander. Tips that I would offer to me as a white belt. If I understand this correctly, right? What would I recommend to me way back 20 years ago when I was starting? Handful of things. One, be a good training partner. I do have to say that when I was starting jiu-jitsu, I was not the best training partner. I always went hard. It was always 100 miles an hour. I did not know how to train slow. Perhaps that's why I had multiple knee surgeries and shoulder dislocations and other things, as the time went on. But being good training partner would be one of the things that I would recommend to Thomas 20 years ago. I simply didn't know how to do it. Nobody ever showed me. It came kind of with trial and error things. And honestly, 20 years ago, jiu-jitsu was slightly different. It was by far more fight-like. It was, I had the opportunity to train with Carson Gracie Sr. in the beginning. So that dynamic of continuous fighting and survival and pushing hard was always embedded as part of my training, which created a Thomas that was not the most friendly when it came to sparring sessions on the mat. Two, I would tell myself, really be smart about training. It's not how many hours you are on the mat, but how effective that time you put on the mat, it really is. So be smart about your training, develop some goals, be strategic about your training, don't waste your time, and pounding every single session and training hard is not the best way to train. Today, we are by far smarter when it comes to our training. One, academies offer different ways of training. We have different programs. We have not only jiu-jitsu, but there is a yoga program often is offered, and stretching and drilling sessions and so on. So we have a lot of opportunities to get engaged to improve our jiu-jitsu. In addition to all of this, today versus 20 years ago, we have video online libraries. We have DVDs that we can purchase. We can educate ourselves. And honestly, even topics like this and recordings like this didn't exist back then. So if I wanted to ask a question, either I had to ask my instructor or I didn't get the answer. So the perspective, one, was very narrow and limited to the one academy and whoever was in it. But two, it wasn't as accessible as it is today. So in a way, you guys are spoiled today. And this is a great thing. You have tools that I did not have. At the same time, the experiences that I have gone through shaped me to who I am today. So is it a good thing? I don't know. I guess we are seeing as it's unfolding right now, but I do have that opportunity to share some of those stories with you, so perhaps you don't make the same mistakes. So being smarter about your training definitely would be one of the things that I would suggest to Thomas 20 years ago. And three, I would say, take breaks. I always trained, especially in the very beginning of my jiu-jitsu. I trained a lot. I trained several times a week. I was always at the academy, and that created a lot of wear and tear. So it kind of goes back to the first one that I mentioned, but it created a lot of wear and tear. Perhaps one of the reasons why now I'm paying the price for it in a small way. At the same time, I look at this now, I have the opportunity to share the mats with my students and share some of the things that I have learned, and hopefully that gives them the opportunity to explore jiu-jitsu in a slightly different way and continue training that. So, as all of this is unfolding, last final thing that I wish I could have done in my jiu-jitsu is compete a little bit more. I didn't have the chance, especially later on, due to some of the injuries that I suffered. I was not able to continue that part of my journey, and that's one of the things that I do miss. But that does not mean that you can't. I encourage you to do it. I encourage you to step on the mat. I encourage you to do everything you can to challenge yourself. Continue learning jiu-jitsu because it's so beautiful and it's so much ahead of us. It's continuously evolving. It would be a shame if we missed it. So I will see you on the mat, most definitely. Peace.